Alright guys, today I'm going to do a bit of a video log of my experience leveling all the way to level 80 in Wrath of the Lich King. Talking about my preparation and the highs and the lows of the whole journey. By the way guys, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. I've got loads and loads of subscriber only content coming soon now that the game has launched, mainly focused on gold guides and also weak aura and macro guides, which some of these are actually already live on the homepage. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, go to my subscriber only video and you'll see it in the description there. If you're struggling to find it, join the Discord and we will sort you out. As you guys know, my main class has always been the Death Knight. I've been playing since vanilla, but Wrath of the Lich King was the expansion where I finally didn't have to play on my dad's computer on the weekends and I could finally play on my own device, my own laptop. And all I wanted to do was get to level 55 as fast as possible to unlock the Death Knight. And I've played the Death Knight all the way from Wrath, all the way until BFA when I finally did properly quit Retail World of Warcraft to go and play Classic, because then Classic was in its full form. So I've been waiting very patiently, playing classes that I honestly didn't enjoy too much. I mean, raiding on a rogue in Classic was boring AF. And raiding on a priest and a warlock was a little bit better in TBC, but it was definitely no Death Knight. I didn't really feel a massive amount of passion and enthusiasm towards any of the classes I've played, apart from the Death Knight. And now the Death Knight is finally here. I've always just liked the combined dot style and pet style of playing a warlock, but then combining that with the fun melee style of a warrior. It's also great not having to run around as a man in a dress. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just definitely not my cup of tea. I want to look good in World of Warcraft, and this is why I have to admit it, I am a transmog guy, because I don't like looking like my parents are still dressing me. And by the way guys, for the launch day, I decided I was going to basically give away all the earnings for that stream, ad revenue, subs, bits, donations, all straight to charity. And I'll also be doing a charity stream for the 1st of October, obviously for Halloween, so be sure to check out the Twitch for that for when it happens. For my preparation, I essentially did everything that I did in my recent video. I used the quest route that involved all the dungeon quests with getting summons to optimize the speed of turning in those quests. So I had my friends on Discord to summon me to all the different dungeon locations of Outland, including Cam's of Time and Karazhan for the ring turn-ins. I actually started in our Turret Valley, logged off with that cheeky Brewfest buff, because you can actually get 100k XP from getting exalted with AV and turning in all those quests. Looking back at my footage though, I actually messed it up. I didn't turn in the last one, so I actually fell short of 100k XP. And I also did the village hub in the Neverstorm, where there's about, can't remember how many I said, but there's 10 quests that you can do there in quick succession very quickly. Looking back at the footage, my XP per hour peaked at 10 million per hour, and the average was just over 2 million XP per hour by the time I was done with the quest route. It took about 25 minutes to get 3/4 of the way into level 70, basically 900,000 XP. It was actually quite funny because people were jumping into my chat. My view was bumped up for a second because I was actually ahead of the world first runners, and that lasted a grand total of probably 5 minutes, and then I started dramatically, very obviously, falling behind. And I wasn't actually trying to get world first, so that's probably why, obviously. My leveling up method, 70 to 80, was definitely not as extreme as all the world first runners, having pocket healers in the open world, soloing dungeons and getting summoned everywhere. Not to mention certain exploits. I've actually found it quite funny, the response to the world first runners. It's been a very salty response to how the world first runners got their achievements, the strategies that they use. Personally, I'm not really salty at all. I mean, I wasn't going for world first. I don't really care how people achieved it. I'm actually find it more interesting how people have achieved it, the secret tactics people have used and the lengths they went to get the achievement. And I will be making a video about it soon, just as I get all of the info buried up. Obviously, all of the good inside scoops to put into a video, like I did for the TPC launch when I was talking about how, how Progress got all the tier 4 raid content cleared within the first day of launch. Now my plan was to duo dungeons with a feral druid tank. We would start in the Shadow Labs to take full advantage of a Brewfest and Orcadoom XP buff, because obviously after I turn in all those quests, we would have to travel for 10 to 20 minutes to get to a Wrath of the Lich King dungeon. We thought, well, why don't we just grind for about 20 minutes in Shadow Labs and then get summoned over there? But looking at the footage, we definitely should have stayed in Shadow Labs, but we made a very vital mistake because we realised that Shadow Labs mobs were giving less XP than we realised, but because they have such less HP, basically half the HP of Wrath of the Lich King dungeon mobs, it still would have been more efficient to actually stay in Shadow Labs. Because we did go to Utgard Keep later and realised, well, the mobs are taking much longer to die. We still were farming 700k XP per hour, and for some stupid reason, I got the idea into my head that that was very bad. I think it's because we overestimated the amount of XP per hour we would be able to farm in Shadow Labs when we were testing it, because we were actually testing it very stupidly without actually having a character that could gain experience points, because my leveling partner didn't have access to the beta. So we were calculating it off how many mobs we were able to kill in every single dungeon run. But 700k XP per hour is very good when you consider how 4-man dungeoning is going to get you about 550k XP per hour, and solo questing will get you 400 to 500k XP per hour, potentially more. But when I was actually doing solo questing, I was also gaining about 500 gold per hour. So my argument still stands about I definitely think solo questing at this point in the game is definitely better. And as I did prove on my stream, solo questing was an absolute breeze. Because, like I said, the game was very, very heavily layered. It was very easy to do quests. Especially if you did do a good quest prep method to get you ahead of the pack, because then you had like absolutely no competition for quest mobs. But yeah, looking back, if I'd stuck to my plan and just duo leveled in dungeons, I would have leveled up much faster and probably shaved off a good 10 hours of my leveling time. But the error here was just not testing methods properly on the beta. But like I said, my duo leveling partner didn't have access to the beta, so it's difficult to test that. And honestly, I simply just didn't have the time to test things on the beta. You know, these Twitch streamers who did get the world first achievements, they can test leveling methods while making content for their stream. But for me to make content for YouTube, I have to spend 60 hours a week editing videos and therefore not actually physically playing the game. And my leveling partner did actually end up going to sleep early, so then I was obviously left on my own to try and test different methods. And this is when I started to ping pong methods, and travelling time massively wastes time. I tried a number of different methods like Soul and Botanica. That was actually quite good, and I can understand why the Realm First Death Knights on my server got Realm First by doing that, because it was 600k XP per hour and it was just solid. And I imagine they found much higher XP per hour because they were probably in full-on tank gear to the point where they would just not take any damage and be able to pull 2 to 3 packs at once in there. Solo questing was giving like 400 to 500k like I said before, and also making 500 gold per hour. I also did 5-man dungeons a little bit, and I also did some solo grinding. Now, me and my friends actually defined a pretty good XP farm in Gundrak. If you optimize this route, you could very easily get 800k experience points per hour if you pull all the extra snake mobs in the room with all the bone piles. This was very good XP per hour, but the downside was you'd be locked out after only doing the runs for about 25 minutes. So 25 minutes of grinding that good XP and then 35 minutes of being locked out of a dungeon. So what we did is we mixed this up with either solo questing or solo grinding, and we had a couple people who would do some solo grinding and questing in Zuldrak so they could summon us back very quickly, because I mixed this up with grinding in Ice Crown on the ghostly mobs in the, in that big open space area, and I also grinded on some humanoid mods near a fortress thing. Anyway, point is, I was doing a bit of grinding, and I was also doing the quest to unlock the Ebon Blade faction, since a lot of my pre-biz loot does come from that faction. And when we got bored of doing this, we did eventually shift on to doing Halls of Lightning. This was a much better farm because it was slightly less XP per hour, but you didn't get lockout, so you could just consistently farm Halls of Lightning over and over again. And the strategy was to reset it early before the second boss, so you weren't wasting time killing bosses. by basically unequipping all our armor and letting the boss kill us, and then we could like ghost run back very quickly back into the dungeon and carry on farming XP. But overall, guys, I definitely rushed it. It was stressful, but in the end, do I regret rushing the experience? Would I have preferred to just take it a bit slower, do a few hours a day, and still roundabout now be level 77? Absolutely not. Okay, for me, leveling a Wrath of the Lich King just very simply isn't an actual experience. If you follow the channel for a while, you'll know that I've been playing on Wrath private servers for about 7 years. In fact, my first ever live stream as the MetaGoblin anyway, was streaming Warmane's Ice Crown server here on YouTube. So I don't really get a great experience or get a lot out of picking up turds in Grizzly Hills anymore. I mean, I even had the music turned off. I've heard it so much. I know that's absolute like heresy and sacrilege to not listen to Grizzly Hills music, but honestly, I've just heard it so much. It just doesn't have the same feel for me anymore. And that goes for leveling in general in World of Warcraft anyway, because I've just done it so much before. I know every single quest, so the gameplay becomes more of an irritation for me, especially the long cooldowns on Wrath of the Lich King quest items, which are extremely irritating. And this isn't just because I'm what people may describe a pump and dump kind of World of Warcraft player, because I've been playing a little bit of the vanilla Lord of the Rings private server Echoes of Angmar, and I'm really enjoying that leveling experience because it's totally fresh to me. I've never done it before, and therefore I'm enjoying it more because I feel a genuine sense of exploration and adventure. And I don't get that from World of Warcraft anymore because, well, strangely enough, I've been playing it for 18 years, so it's just not going to happen. FYI, I will be making a video about that vanilla Lord of the Rings online server very soon. For me, the fun of playing WoW comes from the playstyle of enjoying different classes in heroic dungeons, raiding and PvP environments. So basically, I just want to get max level and pump dungeons and raids and do battlegrounds and arena. Because I find all the content that World of Warcraft provides when it comes to those elements is very fun and better than other games out there, and very unique, to be honest. And honestly, another thing, when I looked at Stay Safe's face after he'd gone for 30 hours straight, I definitely didn't regret anything. Especially when he had to go to the extremes of putting something on his third monitor just to stay awake. I'm not going to say what he put on his third monitor here on YouTube. Definitely glad I didn't go for 30 hours straight, and I did 2 20-hour sessions instead. In fact, the first one was even less. I think I only went 17 hours and then 20 hours. My body clock is definitely really messed up. I'm waking up now at 4 PM in the afternoon, but hopefully I'll get that back on track. If you guys want to follow the journey of me getting my Death Knight geared up for raids and grinding heroics, then obviously go and follow me on Twitch. You'll find that in the description down below. But anyway guys, good luck with leveling and good luck with good drops from heroic dungeons for your pre-raid base and everything like that. My name is MetaGoblin. Until my next video, ciao.